You got a volunteer? Happy back. 30 minutes.
Keep it driving.
Now, can you hear me okay? Alright, here we go. Let's go have some fun. Now, my name is Deepman, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll be your guide today, folks. We're all going to go Rio Cruises. Now, let's start with the safety rules. Okay, folks, safety first. Now, first, folks, there's no prolonged standing on the boat, folks. We all have to remain seated, okay? All the little ones have to remain seated, okay, folks? Now, they may want to stand up, but we cannot have them stand up on the boat, folks. So all the little ones have to remain seated, okay? And number two is let's watch our elbows. There will be passing on the boats, and there'll be some narrow areas, so just be aware, folks. So be comfortable, but be aware. Now, before we get started with the tour, folks, I have a quick question. Do I have any locals on the boat? Anybody from San Antonio here on the boat?
No, not from.
Okay, good to know. We do have a local. Good to know. You know why I asked that question, folks? Because now I know I can't just make all this up. No, I'm kidding, folks. Everything I tell you will be true, guys. Everything I tell you will be true. Now, we can actually start with this part of the river right here, folks. This is the Riverboat Mall area. Now, this is one of the newest additions to Riverwalk. This was done back in 1988. And here at the Riverboat Mall, there are 125 shops, restaurants, and small boutiques here. There's actually over 1 million square feet of shopping space here, folks. I'll tell you something else, folks. We also have 2 movie theaters here in the Riverboat Mall. One of them is an IMAX theater. Now, folks, if you guys have never seen a movie on an IMAX theater screen, that screen in there is 6 stories tall and 8 stories wide. Now, I tell people that, folks, that screen in there is 6 stories tall and 8 stories wide. And right about here, people get a good look at that building, and I see the gears in their head turning, like, wait a minute. That's only a 3-story building. How they get a 6-story movie screen in there? You just said you weren't going to make anything up. But actually what they did, folks, was they incorporated the basement of the food court and the height of the movie screen. So technically, part of that movie screen there is actually below the river level. And look at that at the very top, folks. Look, that's a Legoland playland. And I went up there when they posted, just check it out, give you guys a little bit of extra information. You know, sometimes there's tour guides, we do that. And I went up there when they posted, and they wouldn't let me in. You know why? You have to be accompanied by a minor. So I called my sister, and when you get my nieces and nephews and all that guys, they love it. There's a zip line in there and everything.
Huh? Oh, naina.
And folks, not only do we have 1 million square feet of shopping space at the Riverboat Mall, 2 movie theaters, a Legoland playland, we even have an adult daycare here to right about them. It's called Margaritaville. Fun place. And the sculpture coming up here to the left of us, now she's called the Stargazer, and she's one of the newest pieces of artwork here on Riverwalk. And the artist says she's holding something called a titular star. It's a star with a hole in the middle, and he says at certain times of the year, you'll be able to look through that hole in the star, and you can pinpoint certain stars in the sky. Watch, look, I'll show you folks. Anybody coming up here to the right? Anybody coming? Nope, there's a boat right there. Watch, look, folks. See that little star there with a hole in it? To the left? And now I'll tell you something else, folks. There's also a sign right there next to that sculpture that says, please do not climb on the artwork. So I don't know how you're supposed to see a star because that little hole right there. And here's the right of it. The statue you see here is the statue of St. Anthony, or San Antonio de Padua. And the statue was a gift for the 1968 World's Fair from the Portuguese. And if you look here to the right of it, right over the wall here, in between the trees, you'll see a church steeple there. Now this is the steeple for St. Joseph's German Catholic Church. And this church was built in 1868 by our German-speaking immigrants here. Now back in the 1800s, folks, you'd hear German here just as much as you hear English or Spanish. And if you look here to the immediate right, you'll see this building there. And that is not the church, folks. That's Riverboat Mall where we just left. Now originally, when they were building this mall, what they wanted to do was to just buy the church and tear it down and build on a whole piece of property. They wanted the entire block. But of course, who's going to sell the historic church? So what the Riverboat Mall did was, they just bought all the surrounding land and built on all three sides of the church. So from right here you can tell there's going to be a little bitty church there in the middle, and then Riverboat Mall to the left and the right. They didn't even leave a room for a parking lot. Folks, actually just the church up there. Well, I take that back. Technically, there is parking for 5. And like I said, that's an iconic church. Once a year, they have their mass in German. They have an all-male German choir that sings in there. They even have all the original stained glass windows they brought from Germany in there. It's a beautiful church. I tell people to have everything except for a parking lot. Oh, but don't feel bad about the parking lot, folks. Listen to this. When they were building the mall, they actually encroached on the church's property by 5 feet. Big mistake, folks. So of course the church sued them, and of course they won, and they were awarded $5 million. $1 million for every foot that the mall went over their property. Talk about karma, huh? Don't mess with the church. I love the property evaluation there. $1 million per square foot, that's an expensive church.
Qua đường hầm.
Coming over here, we're going to make this turn, folks. And what we do, if you look here to the left in front of us, you'll see a hotel here with square roof. Now this is the Hilton Palacio del Rio, the Palace on the River. And this hotel is in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the fastest modularly built building of its size. Now they built this entire hotel, folks, from beginning to end, 500
Ngồi đây ăn thấy vậy? Thấy không?
202 working days.
Ăn lên xuống đây ăn đi anh mình.
202 working days, folks, that's less than 8 months. Now, folks, just to give you guys something to compare that to, less than 8 months.
Ồ, lắng nghe lại đủ đi theo mình là xuống đây không?
Just to give you guys something to compare that to, if you look here to the right, you can see one of my ticket offices here. Now, just to give you something to compare that to, it took us 18 months to build these 2 little buildings here. I'll tell you when you get to the right, 18 months. If you get to the left, 8 months. When they built this hotel so fast, they took the first floor right here on site.
Now we do accept tips here. If you want to go ahead and tip your boat captain, you certainly will allow
rooms you see, those are being built at the exact same time, 7 miles out of town on the Assembly line.
Ủa bên này nó còn bến nữa
They're
không?
brought in on flatbed trucks. When they arrived here,
Sắp hàng làm gì ta?
every one of these rooms was fully
Ồ, có một bến nữa.
All the beds were placed, pictures on the walls, the dressers, mirrors, TVs. Everything was ready to go in every room. All we had to do was use 2 giant cranes and stack them on top of each other like Lego blocks. And each one of these rooms weighed 70,000 pounds. I tell you folks, they did this in 202 working days. So they even got the